had a few DBs that we talked about
Yeah.
During the fall that I got an opportunity to see during the Senior Bowl. So Tyrique was very impressive in my mind. Julius Brent, Kansas State 6'3", and when you say 6'3" for the NFL, it's really 6'5" on your driver's license. So he was really tall. He was tall as heck. So got an opportunity to see some of those guys. Um, Georgia safety.
Christopher Smith.
Yeah, he was very well coached. Well coached. You can tell Coach Kirby when it comes down to that secondary, man. Them guys well coached. The IQ super high. So just seeing a couple of guys that I like watching up close in person. Seeing how they move in the environment where there's nothing but other all stars. So you just from a DB perspective, you kind of want to see every scenario. You want to see them get beat, see how they come back and respond. You want to see them catch a cramp, come back and see if they get back in the game. You want to see if they have some kind of physicality, getting off wide receiver blocks and wanting to make the tackle. So that's like the small things I see. You want to see them get hit with a double move, can they recover from it? So it's just a few things. You want to see the consistency as well. Can he play off? Can he play bump and run? What does he like to do in certain situations, 32, 35? So you got to look at all that, from a left corner to a right corner. If you're a right corner, usually your best tackler from a right corner perspective because the quarterbacks are right-handed and the weak side linebacker usually don't get out as fast because he's looking the other way. The strength to the defense is always to the left. The left side corner, you got to be very instinctive. Your IQ got to be high because you got to be able to read formations because usually the quarterback is throwing to the right side, which is the left side of the defense. So it's just looking at all that kind of stuff. Morgan, I got an opportunity to see these guys up close in person.
Couple things Joe told me about, and he was talking about the linemen when he said this, but they're going through individual drills, some one-on-ones too, where your muscle memory, Ike, from going left to right, right to left, it's not that a player's not able to do that, but the muscle memory and the footwork and the technique that is taught. And he said that really stuck out with a few linemen. But he wanted me to ask you about Christopher Smith out of Georgia specifically, just because this was a player who played on a dominant Georgia defense filled with dogs. And he said that, Smith really stuck out to him because his ability was more so showcased. Whereas when he was at Georgia, you have such a dominant front seven, you really don't have to do a ton on the back end. And so he was saying how, like, if he was matched up a tight end, he could lock him up. If he was playing in the nickel and guarding receivers, he could do that. And he said this was just a player that really stuck out to him. So to hear you say that, even before I ask you a question, lets me know, hey, Joe's got a good eye for this as well.
Yeah, Chris did his thing. He did his thing. I mean, he's just super. Them boys got to wait two years. And what I like about just talking to the Georgia athletes, they love competing with each other. They don't mind waiting their freshman and sophomore year to play their junior and senior year because they know guys in front and behind them are dogs just as well as them, literally on the field. So what Coach Kirby have done, because he is a secondary coach, he did play in the secondary when he played, him and Coach Muschamp. Those two guys, they live, they fiery. When you have a secondary coach, when you have a coach who's a head coach, but by nature he's a secondary coach, he's going to make sure his secondary is well intact. He just so happened to be a head coach, a hell of a recruiting coordinator, and he's getting nothing but dogs coming to Georgia. But yeah, the IQ is just high. The knowledge of football is just high coming from Smith. Could be out of position sometimes, but just knowing formation is going to put him back in position. So when you a DB and you're coming from Kirby Smart, you're coming with a high IQ, and he showed that he displayed that consistently out there on the field.